Welcome to the Chronicles of Construction Industry Leaders. My name is Akifenwa Mobolaji. I'm the executive producer of the Chronicles of Construction, and I'm taking this interview today because I'm talking to the president of the Nigerian Institute of Architects and the principal partner of Mobolaji Adeni and Associates. You're welcome, Ma.
Thank you very much.
Can you say something about yourself? Let's get to know you better than my own little introduction.
Thank you, Bolaji. Incidentally, you're my namesake, of course, and it's a pleasure to be on your program. Well, you introduced me as the president of the Nigerian Institute of Architects and the principal partner of Emi and Associates, and that about says it all. I became the 30th president of the Nigerian Institute of Architects almost 2 years ago. And of course, the second female in the history of the NIA, 65 years. And it's a great privilege for me to have led the Institute in this past almost 2 years. And I believe by the grace of God, what we launched as the pathway for improvement of the Institute through the agenda called the Unite Agenda has actually been successful, and it's taken the NIA to greater heights, more visibility, more relevance, and I want to thank God for the opportunity.
Moving forward, for us not to take much of the time, I'll be asking you the very first question of why we're here. Funny enough, I have worked with architect Mobolaji. She's my mentor, she's my mother, and a lot more, I must say. Of all your projects, which best shows your design philosophy and what made it special or challenging?
Thank you, Bolaji, and interestingly, you were part of that project. And I'm sure you knew I would probably mention that project. It's the Bowen Worship Center at the Bowen University in Iwo. It's a 5,000-seater auditorium, and it's a very special project to me because it's not only an emotional journey for me, it was also a spiritual journey for me, because I believe that buildings should evoke emotions in people. What are you designing, and what should the person using this building feel when they get into it? For me, the design of the Bowen Worship Center was a challenge because I wanted to create a building where young people could gather and feel the presence of God. I'm sure you know that young people are very distracted, and creating a worship center that would evoke the presence of God, causing them to feel the awe of God, may be a bit difficult in our climate. They don't want to see the normal cathedrals as they're built. In fact, if you see many of the churches abroad now, you think you're in the cinema, and young people connect with it a lot. So I wanted a building that would make them curious to come in, worship God, and feel God in that space. And so what I did was look at the origin of worship even in the Bible. And it took me to the tabernacle in the Bible. And the tabernacle which the Israelites used when they were going in the wilderness. You know, it was like a tent structure. It was removable. And I wanted to create a building that looked skeletal, looked like it could move, looked like it could connect to God at any time. And then I also wanted to try and create a space in the middle where they could feel like open heavens, the heavens looking down to them. So it's not just a building, it connects them vertically, horizontally, spiritually to God. And I believe by the grace of God, with the steel frame structure we designed in a cross form to reflect the crucifixion of Christ, open heavens in the middle at the altar so that anybody that comes to the altar feels the awe, the presence, and the power of God through the skylight of almost 30 meters radius at the center. And that for me was a very fulfilling project. And I think it embodies my design philosophy, which is, like I said, creating spaces that resonates with the emotions of the users, fluid forms that are not obtrusive to the environment, green architecture through using natural lighting, natural ventilation, and also allowing the exterior to flow into the interior space. BJ, I know that you know my designs and that this is the kind of concept I do.
That leads to the last aspect where you mentioned light in this particular design. And I remember you are into lighting, and I will want you to put some light into the matters of lighting in your projects and your personal interest in lighting system.
Thank you very much. Light has a very important function in buildings, in life generally. And I have always been intrigued by creating spaces that use not only natural lighting, but also the artificial lighting must be able to connect to the building in such a way that it lights up the building. I was tired of design of electrical engineers. My apologies, electrical engineers. You design a space, it's so beautiful, it's everything, and then they just come help you put some fluorescents and some lights in some awkward spaces. They were not meeting my design aspirations in terms of lighting of the spaces. Lighting creates moods, lighting evokes feelings, and I wanted to be able to control it. So I decided to go into lighting. I decided to even have an outfit where I sell lighting products. Light that evokes emotions, light that transforms spaces. I'm just very interested in lights.
Beautiful. That takes me to a particular point talking about lights. It also made me to understand that when you go into a city during the day, you may not really see the beauty of it. But at night, when the street light comes on, you have a different feel of the city. Now, that takes me next to the next question. Now, I will be deviating a little bit from Bolaji Adeniyi and Associates and to the prestigious Pearl President of the Nigerian Institute of Architects. How are you driving mentorship, innovation, and collaboration for young professionals?
Great question. I've always been passionate about young people. I actually know and believe that the future belongs to the young people. And I do always think that the older ones have a responsibility in guiding the young people to ensure that they have a bright future. And so when I became the president of the NIA, I saw that there was this big gap, a disconnect between young architects and the older architects. Of course, for people like me, I had the privilege of joining the NIA at a very young age. As a student member in Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, I was very active. And then when I graduated in my youth service years, I joined the NIA in Oyo State chapter. Soon after graduation, after a few years, I got serving in the NIA. But then I still realized that though I was serving in the NIA as a young person, I really didn't have a voice. But it was still a good time of tutelage for me. But you see, times have changed. Even leadership styles have changed. That's why you can see a lot of even countries in all over the world now having very young rulers. And you begin to wonder that these young rulers that are leading the whole world, are they doing well? Are these young leaders doing well? Of course, they're doing well. For instance, the president of the RIBA, Muyiwa Oki, young man. I'm not sure he's 40 yet, or if he's 40, probably early 40s. The youngest president of the RIBA, the first black president of the RIBA, and very interestingly, a Nigerian. That excites me. So I thought, look, let's groom our young people so that they can really be interested in driving the institute. And so what we did was this. I set up a committee for young architects, the first time in the history of NIE. It's called a Young Architects Forum. And we got them to be a part of council. So that it's not just them complaining and talking outside. Come to the table. Tell us what you want. Tell us what your own ideas are. Because I realize the truth about Nigerians are many people love to complain, to criticize. What can you do? So when the young people get there too, they can tell us, this is how we think it can be done. And fine, we bring in the new ideas on board. But apart from that, I also know that there's a need for mentorship. Because the days when we were young architects, there was a great opportunity for us to be mentored. We had older architects who had buoyant practices who employed us. And so we were able to serve them, work with them, understand contract management, site supervision, work in studio, handling of contractors, being the lead in the professional group, the league of consultants on site. But these days, these young people, even from school, you see them trying to do things they're not supposed to be doing, get engaged in designing, even of mega housing units, and so on and so forth, without any experience or proper tutelage. So I felt, look, it's a problem on both sides. We have many older firms now not also having jobs. Therefore, they cannot employ these younger ones. We have these younger ones in a hurry. And you don't blame them. The economy is so bad. In our days, it was easy to fund yourself even in school. But these days, you see them struggling even to be able to go to school. So what do? So we started a mentorship committee, again for the first time in the council, to mentor the young architects. So I have a Young Architects Forum headed by architect Kelechi, and then I have the mentorship committee headed by architect Titi Adeleye, and they're doing a fantastic job. The world is now global. We can do a lot of things online. They're connecting architects, mentorship programs online. The young architects are grouping together in all the chapters. I'm so happy.
What is the one key insight about light or space that every student, architect, and the general public should know?
Thank you very much. Perhaps you're asking again because I love light. Lighting. Lighting is light is a fundamental element in shaping the experience of space. The space we're in now, without the light, we cannot fully experience it. Let me give you also an example of what I did with the Bowen Chapel at the altar. I created natural light from a dome on top of the altar that shines natural light directly onto the altar. Then round that circle, I dropped some artificial lights that also give special effects, particularly towards the baptistry area. It's a Baptist church, and the baptismal area is a focal point. So light is also able to play that emphasis on focal points that you want to emphasize in a building. Light defines spaces. It can highlight boundaries. It can create contrasts and shape the perception of volumes. So these are very important things for students and the public to understand. There's an interesting thing that happened. I will not mention this building. But many years ago, I'm sure you probably don't know, I was a lecturer. Okay. I lectured for 8 years, and I was such a practical lecturer, and I related very well with my students. So I took them on some visits to some sites, and there was a particular building that I took them to show them how architects should not design. You know, usually you go to see buildings that are iconic. I took them. And in this particular building, it was a hotel, huge hotel in Ibadan. Right now, many years ago, while I was a lecturer, many years ago. And so we got to this hotel, massive building. The massing was so intimidating that you would even feel scared to enter that building. You know, the form of a building, the way the light plays on the building can either attract or repel. So we got into this building. The hotel rooms, there were no windows. And then I asked the architect, because interestingly, the owner of the building was an architect. And I asked him, I said, why did you design this space like this? Because you see, before you write off any building, you must understand the philosophy or the concept behind the design. So I needed him to explain to my students and to myself, what exactly were you trying to achieve? And he told me, he said, look, I wanted to create a space where when people come in, they forget about the world. They're locked up in a space. And I said, well, I'm not sure I agree with you on that. So what I'm just trying to say is that lighting is so important because it defines spaces, it influences mood and emotions. How do you feel when you go into a dingy room? The hospital I designed for my husband attracts patients. And I've heard some patients say, don't discharge us yet. Let's just spend a few days to recuperate. What did I do? I created a space with natural lighting, a nice courtyard, so when you're recuperating, you can come, natural sunlight, you know, natural ventilation, greens within the space, homely-like space, bright colors, so that you don't feel depressed. Darkness and gloom work hand in hand, while light, you know, enhances not just the space or the mood, but also your emotions. So these are some of the things that our people need to understand. So when you see people designing long, dingy corridors, you need to let them know that no, this is the effect that it has. And especially for us here, with the cost of electricity, even all over the world, green architecture, you must ensure that lighting, particularly natural lighting, is a great focal point in all your design solutions.
Now, I want to talk about the principles of construction. Our target is to be the #1 built environment media platform. We have covered programs from NIA Abuja chapter, and we are planning to be in Oasis, which is coming up in a few days' time. And I'm sure you're always everywhere, as long as it is Nigerian Institute of Architects. And we intend to always cover site issues, challenges, and experiences of people, talk to a lot of professionals. What do you think we can take home from you regarding this program as a feedback? And how we can partner with other professional bodies?
Thank you very much, BJ. First of all, let me say it's a laudable effort, and I've followed your progress all through the years, knowing you from your student days. You were doing IT in my office, even from the time you were much younger than that. And one thing I know about you is your innovative approach to issues. You always want to do things differently. And I'm very pleased with this. And I think it will go places. I particularly like it because it's an advocacy tool. One of the things that is lacking in our environment particularly is lack of advocacy in the built environment. I am really proud of what you're doing. I believe very much in this vision, and I'm looking forward to you transcending even the shores of this nation. And I wish you all the very best. God bless you.
We have a couple of our sponsors that they are the ones making us move in this program, for us to travel here, for us to do one thing or the other. And I'll mention a couple of their names. And I want to know what you expect of building material manufacturers, what they need to do to also help the professional bodies, talking about how they make their materials and the quality of materials they do. I'm sure in Akibuild you've seen Utopia Bat and Kitchen, Flexi Clay, Costed, Reform Sports and Group, Broadmind Special Project, which is the boy sitting before you. So what's encouragement and what do you expect from other building materials, just generally? I mentioned these ones because they are our sponsors so far.
Thank you. It's a rich array of sponsors you have, and I pray that you get more. And these ones are very familiar with me, like you have said, Akibuild, which you know I have been organizing for many years, and which you were also a part of for many years, and I want to commend you on the part you played there. Now, Akibuild is the specialized building materials exhibition that the NIA has been involved with for over 30 years. Yes, and you know that NIA is a pioneer in this field, and our focus is on building materials because we are the specifiers. The architects are the specifiers of the building materials. We owe also the public, you know, the responsibility of ensuring that whatever materials are used for their buildings are the best materials. And we also owe this nation the responsibility of encouraging Nigerian manufacturers of building materials to be able to have a forum to display their products, so that it will not just be our people looking for tiles manufactured in Italy when we can use tiles manufactured in Nigeria. The reason why Akibuild is an exhibition with a difference is that the architects don't just accept any building material to be exhibited. We look into the technical data of these materials to ensure that the materials we can specify are the ones that we're, exhibiting. We also want to see how they perform, their performance over the years, the innovations. It's not the same material that you did yesterday we want to see again today. How have you improved? And then we also use this as a forum for the public to come in and see, look, this is what Nigerians are doing. Patronize Nigerians, be a proud Nigerian in everything that you're doing.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Appreciate. Yes, Akibuild. Interestingly, I'm still part of the local organizing committee for the forthcoming BGM, and the BGM is a combination of Akibuild, as she mentioned.
It's actually from the 25th to the 30th.
Of
Yes, it's extended because of Akibuild, because you have our BGM, we also have Akibuild, we have our fellowship awards. All the architects in Nigeria will be there, loaded.
Loaded program come November 2025. I'll be there. And the president, the incoming president, and everybody, all the architects are expected to be there. So I'm not sure this is a marketing plan.
No, this is not a marketing for Akibuild, but this is for those who have been sponsoring you to know that we appreciate them and their support for Akibuild, and to say we're expecting them also.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Really appreciate it. That's been the Chronicles of Construction. I am Mobolaji Akifenwa.